Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees. Will everybody stand and join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. The agenda is before us. Is there any additions or deletions by fellow board members or staff?
Just under concerns of trustees, I'd just like to add Stark County Township Association.
And Mr. President, I'd like to add an administrator number 4, and that would be, let's see what we'll call it, reimbursement for the Hall of Fame City Challenge.
Anything else? Okay, the agenda will stand as presented. Just a reminder, everybody, the meeting is videotaped and audio taped. For those in the audience that are going to speak to the board this evening, we only ask that you come to the front podium, speak into the microphone, so your voice can be picked up clearly. And we do have the 3-minute allocation for public speaks during that portion of the agenda. First thing on the agenda is the sheriff's report, and I'll turn that over to Mrs. Campbell first to start.
Thank you. Number 1 is a complaint that I had forwarded, and I believe our detective has received, about running the stop sign at Pine Tree and Forest View. And I believe that we've already got some extra patrols there, but I just wanted to put that on the record for the person that called in and complained that that was happening. And also not so much running, but doing kind of the rolling stop also. So I guess that is the same. I don't know the technical term, but that is happening, not at any specific time of the day, I guess all of the time with that stop. And that's all I have for the sheriff's report.
If anybody in the audience at this time has anything specifically for the sheriff's representatives. Okay, that'll close the sheriff's report. We'll go to new business, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 under new business are the false alarms.
Also move on new business number 1.
Second it. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 requires no resolution. It's just the fall newsletter for the board to peruse, and then within about a week to give me your okay to go to print. And I just want to point out for the board the new setup of the newsletter since it's been taken over by administration. Then item number 3 is just for discussion, zoning sign requirements. And I will turn that over to Mr. President to lead that discussion.
Yes, I bring this up for a couple words. One main reason. I read the article in the Camp Repository this week in regard to off-premise signs and these signs that these individuals, and I guess Eric, this would be directed, the question would be directed to you to start. Our zoning text clearly outlines what is allowed as far as off-premise signs, as far as advertisement. These box trucks, according to this article, are they're getting wrapped, they're getting lettered, and they're being parked in various places and business areas around the township. And our zoning text specifically states in that section number 9 that that's a prohibited use. To clarify that, I'm a little bit confused as to why those are being allowed to be parked along the side of the roadways in the township, especially when the advertisement isn't even for a specific business where the vehicle is being parked.
Okay, a couple things. One is, I read the article as well, and I thought that our township zoning director hit on a good point, which is permanency versus temporary. That's one of the things we have to start with. Secondly, along the roadway, I don't think has been an issue. I think it's on the private parking lot, which is a big difference. So I think what we have to be aware of is that, one, it's got to be some kind of a permanent, non-operable, unlicensed vehicle for us to get involved from a zoning perspective. Two, these skins are popping up everywhere. If you guys have seen these things for advertising, for, you know, if you've got a situation where you have a business and the owner or employee of that business is driving something to and from that business and they happen to have the skin, you know, on it, I think that's not to give anybody a playbook here, but I think that's another way to kind of get your advertising in that way. If you're talking about them parking some kind of a permanent fixture type vehicle there, then I think we've got grounds to demand that it be moved. But if it's just a temporary, hey, we're parking here and we're allowed to be parking here, our business maybe is back here or something related to that, I think that's a different issue. And I've talked with Denny a little bit about it, and I think a good example of, you know, it's a lot of times when we legislate to stop one thing, we end up catching a whole bunch of other things we don't want to catch. And I think a good example of that would be right down on, I think it's Fulton. Mr. Mike's on Fulton.
Correct.
That guy's running a catering business. He's got a bunch of trucks lined up right out in front of his, and they've got advertising on. So if you're looking to do something, you're going to want to be cognizant of those kinds of things, which I don't think we think are a problem, unless you tell me otherwise. So that's kind of my take on what I've seen so far in terms of the article and talking with our zoning director at this point.
I'm trying to find it here, but Penny, do you have the zoning resolution on that number 9 I'm speaking?
Yes, I do. I have the entire assignment.
Can you read number 9 to me?
Yeah, this is under the general requirements for all signs, section 801.3, number 9. It says, motor vehicles, trucks, or trailers which are parked or located for the primary purpose of displaying said signs are prohibited.
And that's where we're going. What's the purpose of it?
Now, if it's parked somewhere, and that business is not where it's parked, what's its purpose?
You're going to have to find out. You're going to have an inquiry on each and every one. I mean, that's the way that's written. You're going to have an inquiry into intent and purpose of that vehicle being there on each and every one of them. And that's why I say you got to be careful with, you've been doing this long enough, when you legislate one thing, you always end up snaring a bunch in the net that you never intended to. So if you're going to address that, I just would tell you, be careful. Let's be sure we're getting what we're going after. If your issue, for example, Lou, is I don't want huge box trucks, moving around the township in some bid to escape sign regulations, then we need to tailor it very specifically at that. But again, you're going to get into some kind of intent and...
Yeah, because my issue is,
the
the box truck says, we'll pay cash for cars, we won't even tow them.
Right.
And
it has nothing to do with
it has nothing to do
carpet
with
mattress
plastic.
warehouse
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
it. Right.
Oh, absolutely, I agree wholeheartedly. We've had trucks like that moved in the past.
Yeah.
Once it comes up, we've seen a truck like that, it's solely an advertising vehicle. We've approached the owner, had it removed.
I mean,
Upon,
in the past, we've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as this truck was brought to the attention of this office, I immediately found out who it was, contacted the owner, it was gone. So,
And I think you're well within our regulations to do that.
Yeah, because the other one I'm seeing a lot of is these cash for gold.
Yeah.
right, that was one we had moved,
Yeah.
no longer there. I did a complete search of all the business districts this morning, and I didn't find any.
I mean, we did a lot, put forth a lot of effort in developing and implementing our sign regulations. And I mean, I don't want to disparage those in Lincoln Way that might find that attractive, but I don't think that we want our business districts getting all out of whack, like
Yeah.
Lincoln Way.
I would agree with that.
Well,
So,
no, I had an extensive, I'm sure Mr. Wang will corroborate this, we had a very extensive conversation prior to the issuance of that article, in which we talked about our signage and our sign regulations. You know, we very clearly discussed and went over the fact that we believe our businesses have adequate ways to advertise, whether it's a ground-mounted, pole-mounted, wall-mounted sign. And we discussed the issue of the appearance of our commercial districts and the aesthetics. And when Mr. Wang asked if, well, you know, why these type of vehicles were not permitted, that's exactly what it was. We don't want our areas to just turn into a bunch of box trucks.
Both of you two.
And we want to, you know, preserve and not be inundated by ineffective advertising.
does that part of that sign regulation need to be addressed to specifically, like you said, to make sure that we direct it where we want it to be directed, and more of a,
More specifically targeting those, I think there's probably some room for improvement there. I don't like, anytime you say, you're talking about defining primary purpose and those kinds of terms, legally you're leaving yourself some gray area. Because you're gonna run into those who say, oh, no, I was here for this, or I was here for that. And now we're in a situation where we're dispensing our people the time to, you know, to catch them in the primary purpose, so to speak. So there's probably some room for improvement there.
if there is, I mean, I think that's something we need.
Okay.
So work with Mr. Williams, we can,
Yeah.
I'll check other area regulations and everything.
Yeah, I think it highlighted,
Highlight.
for sure.
Did, the vehicle that you asked to be moved, you said they moved it, if they would not have moved it, did we have any grounds of leverage to have it moved? Daddy said they moved it, but what if they didn't?
Then I think we have a zoning violation.
Sure, we have a zoning violation, we can try to.
And it'll be up to them at that point to say, to argue the primary purpose point. I mean, if we issue the violation, then I think it's up to them to refute it. So,
I mean, I think the clear intent was spelled out by you and the people that were taking part in this and that article.
I would say,
Intentions were.
I would say, I would say
It was
was
to
the
get
owner,
around the regulation.
right.
I would like to say that the owner of that truck, upon moving it, did call and apologize for having it there, as he was unaware that we did have regulations. So it wasn't an adversarial move, he did apologize for that.
Good. That's the easiest.
Okay. All right, anything else in the business? Okay, we'll go to the fiscal officer's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. First point for fiscal officer is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the payment of the pending warrants in the amount of $182,089, or $182,089.82 is attached here to any part of the minutes.
Also move.
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Lino, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 2 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the payment of the regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $220,000.
Also move.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 3 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the payment for the following medical claims as provided by Allcare.
I will so move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 4 is the investment report.
As far as we've got both those funds maturing here in October, what are rates looking like? We still,
We haven't put out for rates yet, just because there's still a month and a half, or almost 2 months. And a lot can change in that time, but we'll send out a letter basically to the banks that we are authorized to be able to check those rates.
Has anything come out of Columbus on the ability to use credit union, leverage credit unions yet?
At this point, I don't believe it's still there. It's not permitted.
It's not, and I don't foresee anything in the real near future due to the bank's lobbying power, which is a shame.
Fiscal officer number 5 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the following transfers.
also move.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for a name change for the liquor permit down there at the College Bowl. It's my understanding that there's not been any complaints or any objections by the sheriff. So with permission, I'll go ahead.
So there's no need to hold unless the board so desires. I did reach out to the sheriff's office. They had no objections.
Yes, what we've normally done in the past is hold these over to 2 weeks to give people the opportunity, once it's made public, the application to raise a concern. Do you guys want to hold it or?
There's nothing from the sheriff's office. I think the only thing that's been over in that area was another establishment that's already been addressed, so.
I mean, if you don't have a longer history on what's going to happen the next 2 weeks, you're not going to get very far.
All right, ready for it.
Go for it, no?
Yeah.
And that'll conclude the fiscal officer's report for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Flex. Administrator's report, Mr. Cole.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to authorize a 1-month health insurance premium for the month of November 2013 to participating members of the For the Health of It Health Fair, which will be held on September 16, 2013 at Diamond Community Park.
Also move on administrator number 1.
Second, any discussion?
I'd like to see 100% participation on this, preferably by our employee base.
Any further discussion? I will concur with Mr. Hawes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a resolution to enter into the attached OYSAN Bothwell Cup Tournament contract between Plain Township and OYSAN.
Also move.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Lisa, this is a
This is a single-year contract this year, and actually our fees per field did increase this year, so it will bring in a little more revenue than we expected, and each year the turnout and the number of teams has increased, so a huge positive for Plain Township.
Is this the one that you met with them, Lisa?
Yes, met with them, with also Derek, Mr. Icino several times, confirmed, and they are very pleased now to be coming back to Plain Township.
You're on speed on this.
Thank you.
Good job, Nicole. This is a good one.
It is one of the largest tournaments here at the township.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 3 is to let the board know that I did receive a signed agreement from the Hall of Fame City Challenge from Mr. Mears, and also the check for the total amount of $20,427.99, which leads us into new administrator number 4, which is a resolution to reimburse expenses incurred by the attached invoices, which is $4,070.79 to the road department, $2,368.24 to the fire department, and $13,988.96 to the sheriff department, and to authorize the Plain Township fiscal officer to release the amount that is owed to the sheriff department.
Also move.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes. Who's that? Okay,
And
let's-
that is the end of the administrator
all
report.
right, thank you. We'll go to the fire department, Chief Snyder.
Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is a change order for general contractor number 11 to extend the contract completion date to October 9th, 2013.
Also move on fire department number 1.
I'll second that discussion. Chief, when you say completion date of October 9th, that is just the actual construction portion of the facility. Is that going to include the landscaping and the,
We're hoping to get that landscaping in the next 4 to 5 weeks.
4 or 5 weeks?
I met with the architect and went over, reviewed this based on that date, and then they follow up with the punch list and so forth. So we're looking, turning over that building sometime latter part of October.
Latter part of October, you talk about being in.
If everything goes good, weather holds out. Because they're going to pour the cement for the aprons and the driveway, sometime in the latter part of September and October. So we're hoping that it's all completed by the October the 19th, based on weather conditions.
Okay. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is the resolution for purchasing furnishings from Verco for the new station. It's through U.S. Communities 2013 Master Agreement Contract 080844685.
I'll move adoption. Fire department number 2.
Second.
Any discussion? And all this is at state purchasing, correct?
That's correct.
State and/or federal?
Federal.
Yeah, federal. Okay, no further discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, we'll go to the road department. Mr. Iacino.
Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is a resolution to authorize the purchase, gasoline, oil, and diesel fuel not to exceed $20,000 or more.
Also move.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Item number 2 is authorization to purchase a 2012 Eager Beaver trailer from Southeastern Equipment not to exceed $15,225.
Also move.
Second, any discussion?
Joe, just for the record and clarification, this is due to the existing trailer cannot amply accommodate
With the
some of
new
the
equipment
equipment
that
we
we've
have
had
down
on the
there.
last few years, it doesn't fit on those trailers. This one trailer will do all now for us.
Okay.
Joe, how about storage with this trailer? You got a place to put?
All the other trailers, Mr. Lino, were outside, but this one's gonna have to be until we do something with another building.
Possibly station 4.
Yeah, if possible. Somebody leaves me some room.
Okay, no further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Let's go to the zoning department, Mr. Fall.
Yes, gentlemen, the first item on the zoning department, item number 1 is a resolution for you to set a public hearing. This is a public hearing regarding the recent First Christian Church Edgewood area property rezoning. Please note that we are changing the venue for this. It will be moved to September 24th, 7 p.m. at the Glen Oak High School Theater.
Now, we'll move adoption of zoning number 1.
Second.
Discussion. Just make sure this will be posted on the website.
Right, we'll make certain everything's posted on the website, we'll post notices here as we did before. We'll make another announcement at the trustees meeting in another 2 weeks.
2 weeks from now. Okay, and are we going to hold our,
Regular meeting will be held at 5:30.
The regular meeting, yep, will be held also at the theater at 5:30, which will give plenty of time for the meeting to occur, possibly with a slight adjournment, and then to recess, and then hold the public hearing.
I'm not sure what you said.
Yes, all of that again will be posted on our website. We will do media releases. We'll post on our doors there. That's why the 7 o'clock, in case anybody would come here, it would give them plenty of time to get to the high school.
okay, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes. Okay, number 2.
I got 3 nuisance abatements before you this evening.
Also move on zoning 2A, B, and C.
Second those. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Thank you. And zoning number 3, I wanted to give you, the board, an update on the progress of the Moving Ohio Forward program. This is the program that we are working in conjunction with the Stark County Rehabilitation Land Corporation. This is the demolition of blighted properties. To date, we have completed title work on 19 properties. We have advertised and sent mailings out to owners of those properties, notifying them that we intend to enter their sites for asbestos surveys. Those asbestos surveys will be starting this week. We are going to we're in the process of preparing legal advertisements and again sending out proper letters to owners stating that upon the completion of the asbestos surveys and any necessary asbestos abatement program, we plan to demolish these blighted structures. We'll also be advertising for contractors. Our goal is to begin demolitions early October. And I would like to say that we had one property was removed from the list because a new owner purchased it, and they're doing extensive rehabilitation on it right now. And that came about as a result of our contacting them. We're going to tell them that they're going to tear it down.
I'd just like to comment, thanks, because this is the representative for the whole land bank board for the county. It's been an interesting animal moving forward, trying to develop process, policy, get it implemented, and then understand how to interpret it, because things were initially rolled out and then how they ended up being were two different things. But I mean, it's nice to see that our commitment, $100,000 go towards demolishing blighted properties, and that being doubled by matched to $200,000 is going to have an impact on some of the neighborhoods.
We have had a little bit of response from people in the area learning these properties were going to be demolished on what will happen to them, and it is possible that they can possibly purchase these properties. It's important to realize that they're not coming into our name, but there is something called a side lot program, whereby neighbors may be able to get these properties pretty much for closing.
Just to get repurposed back on the tax rolls and so forth. So
all the properties are vacant and extremely tax delinquent. That concludes zoning. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we will go to facilities and grounds.
Mr. Chairman, facilities and grounds number 1 is just a little update on the Alpine Park. We're making an ADA access from the parking lot to the walking track. Joe's crew did that last week. It looks great. Again, it extends from the parking lot to the walking track. So, handicap people can access the track without going through the grass. And in the near future here, we're also going to run a path all the way from the restrooms to the track, so that they don't have to, it's a little over 100 feet, they would have to track through the grass to get to these restrooms. That outline, so we're going to, with the help of Joe's crew, pave a path all the way to the restrooms.
You ever pave it or bring it down? Asphalt or concrete? Asphalt.
You have all the equipment for that. That's a shame.
Okay. 2.
Facilities and grounds number 2 is just an update on the Schneider Park restroom. Everything over there is going great. I put together a little packet here, didn't have time to get it on the computer, so if gentlemen want to look at that. It's just a little book from start to where we're at right now. Never ran into really any issues over there.
We're looking at October completion on
If this
this.
weather holds out, then we'll be done. Or they
Any concrete work that needs done, I'm gonna volunteer Mr. Lino, he did such a nice job down at the lower level.
We're not kidding now.
Does he have his initials in it, something, little thumbprint?
And let's go to number 3.
Number 3 is going to be the purchase of equipment from Cutter Power Sales. Be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the purchase of 2 Skag Cheetah mowers from Cutter Power Sales in an amount not to exceed $16,973.32, and to authorize the payment of $8,000 from Park Fund 14A04 and the balance from Admin Fund 01B6A.
I was so moved in on the part.
Second.
Discussion.
Just for discussion, did those have the option for diesel?
Those,
Because anyone was taking a look at all the models for the demo, there were certain ones that had diesel and others that didn't, from
Yes.
a torque aspect.
the Cheetahs do not come in a diesel.
Okay.
Those are the ones, trustee House, aren't those the ones you and I, Jerry, we looked at, Joe, we looked at those on the premises, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
No other discussion? And just let the record reflect, this is due to some of the equipment being well beyond disrepair, so moving forward, be in much better shape.
The one mower is over 16 years old, so,
Actually, that's an 87, that's 26 years old.
oh, 26 years old. Wow.
Mechanics are okay with this one?
Yeah, they look at all.
Yeah.
They're
Easy to work on.
Here's to another 26 years.
Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis,
Yes.
and Mr. Haas.
Yes.
Item number 4 is going to be to amend the gray bar resolution, number 13-488. Be hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to amend resolution 13-488 for the World Hand Dryers and to authorize payment of $1,981.48 to be made from Fund 21A04D.
Also move.
Second. Discussion.
It's just to amend the fund number.
No further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Haas,
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis,
Yes.
Item number 5, under Facilities and Grounds, is to reseal the walking track at Diamond Community Park.
Also move.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none? Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis,
Yes.
Mr. Haas,
Yes.
Okay, that concludes facilities and grounds. That will take us to Parks Program.
Gentlemen, item number 1, we have been meeting with current partners at the facilities, as well as engaging possibilities for new partners, both for local programming initiatives for youth and all ages at the township facilities, as well as vetting opportunities that would be new business and new events coming in down the road.
Any questions for?
Just a simple comment, thanks for the explicitly clear detail listing of what's going on. I don't think there's nothing left to our imagination, what's happening here.
Okay, let's go to number 2.
Gentlemen, the resolution in front of you is to terminate the facility request form and replace it with a formal letter of agreement so that all parties understand what each side of the fence provides and will be providing.
Also move.
I'll second. Any discussion? Hearing none? Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Haas,
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis,
Yes. And number 3.
3?
Number 3 for parks programming are our branding efforts. We are reaching out and collaborating with community partners already for several different initiatives coming up in the next couple of months in which our parks and our township can be out so folks realize what we have to offer from a programming standpoint, from a facilities standpoint, and even different departments.
Questions? Okay, thank you, Rob. And for everybody here, I would like to formally introduce Mr. Rob Steinberg. He's our new Parks Program Director, Community Outreach. He's got a very long and a very entailed title. As you can see, he's very detail-oriented, and he is very thorough in his reporting to the board in the direction that we're trying to take the parks. And he's going to do a fantastic job for Plain Township, and he's going to make our park system, from what it is, I think he's going to make it even a lot better.
Thank you, and I just wanted to point out before we move on that I'm lucky to work with the team. I know Derek and Joyce and Lisa and I have met quite extensively over the last 2 weeks, and we're pretty excited about working together and moving forward together, and I've really appreciated the input I've been given so far. So I'll take the credit, but only under the auspices of the fact that it's a team effort.
Perfect. Thank you, Rob. Go to communications.
Thank you. Item number 1 is from Sue Anderson, and she writes she would like to say a great big thank you to the street department who resurfaced her street, and that they have been very nice to them, and she had total knee replacement and had to get out for appointments, and they were very helpful and were a lot of fun watching how efficient that department was. So thank you for a great job done. Sincerely, Sue Anderson. Item number 2 is a letter to Captain Troy Slabaugh from the Louisville Community Backpack Festival, Karen Barr, thanking him on behalf of the crew of the Louisville Community Backpack Festival for the safety town equipment loaned to them. The children enjoyed themselves as they rode through the make-believe city on tricycles and little cars. They placed the equipment inside the tennis courts, and it really gave the preschool children who didn't receive the backpack and school supplies something special to do. So she's appreciative of the willingness to take the time out of the day to drive down to the shed and help us to retrieve and return the items. So thank you very much. Lastly, there's a communication from the Plain Township Historical Society, and they are working on an oral history project to identify and record pertinent information and memories from individuals who were instrumental in the initial migration to the suburbs of Plain Township. And when their project is complete, they want to store it physically and digitally in at least 3 different locations, and they are requesting that one of these locations be here at the township, which, as the board is quite aware, that the Historical Society stores a lot of their information and their displays here in our basement. I think what they're looking for is a written response because they are applying for a grant with the Start Community Foundation in August. That must be, they must have already applied, but they are asking for a written response saying that yes, they can use Plain Township, the Plain Township Hall as a place to store. So with the board's permission, I will write back and let them know that that is okay.
Should be even more room in another 2 months downstairs.
Yeah.
Well, Donnie gets all
End
this
of
stuff out
October.
here.
End of October, Chief.
End of October. And that is the
I volunteer out to come carry it out.
And that is the end of communications for this evening.
Thank you. Okay, we now come to the portion of the agenda for public speaks. If anyone in the audience would like to ask the board anything, you may do so at this time. We only ask that you give your name and address to the fiscal officer once you come to the podium, and they can pick it up clearly on the mic. So, sir.
I've never done this before, so here goes. My name is Dan Lozier. I live at 6228 Melly Road. Recently, my name was brought up in this meeting at April 23rd for barking dogs. There was a lot of misconceptions, exaggerations, and downright lies told about me. I don't know, I never heard anything about this until just recently. I've listened to the tapes, I printed out everything that was said. This gentleman told you guys I raised poisonous snakes. Never in my life have I had a poisonous snake in my house. I welcome any one of you, Sheriff's Department, anybody to come see what I have in my house. He said I had 5 to 6 dogs at all times. I own 3. I own 1 grand champion female and 2 champion females. And if anybody's watched them on the shows, that means they're pretty much obedience trained. They don't bark 24/7. And he says I have puppies all the time. I have raised a grand total of 18 puppies in 2.5 years. He said I had a kennels license before I ever moved to this area. I did not. I got it once I came here. When I wanted to start raising puppies out of mole females, just replace mountain dogs. The authority you've given this man here makes my life a living heck, for lack of a better word. It's giving him the authority right now to fine me $100 every time he sees fit. He said he had neighbors in there complaining about my dogs. I have a signature of 5 neighbors right now, closest neighbors, that they never ever hear my dogs bark. Never. You say why, if it's a problem, why do I come in here if my dogs don't bark? I just got fined $100, which I am going to contest. My dogs weren't even in my backyard. They were down in Nate Hut the day he came out. The neighbor's dogs was barking. The guy, the deputy sheriff, I got his card, came out and put a card in my door. And I told him, I said, my dogs weren't here. I have pictures. I have 2 witnesses. I didn't have a dog in the backyard. He said, the noise came from the direction of your kennels, which are butt up to the neighbor's yard. He said, I got to cite you. I'm afraid to go to church in the morning because he's home. He said I actually had this in a different township. I lived inside the city limits. That's why I moved out of here, just to be able to raise 1 litter of puppies a year. That's all I wanted to do. And I am registered with the state. I have done everything. You're looking at somebody right now that don't even have a speeding ticket since 1978. I have more respect than that. I don't listen to my own dog's bark. This is what's called a bark limiter. It's an electronic shock collar. This is an automatic one, not one you push the button on. It has a sensor. The dog barks 3 times in 1 minute, it gets zapped. All my dogs wear this just in case. Just in case. And yet I'm still getting in trouble when the dogs do bark. This man don't have a sleeping disorder. He would not buy a house with a railroad track in the backyard. But I'm the one getting in trouble for it constantly. It's ridiculous to me that someone can come in here lying and someone, this whole thing has changed and my dogs, and I got one guy here that works midnights out of his house. He said he never hears my dogs bark. He sleeps till noon because he does the cars from Coles. And right now he's working with someone that's working in California. He said, I stay up all night. I sleep till noon. I never hear your dogs bark. But as soon as I leave, even though these are on the dogs, the police show up at my house. The one time they showed up at 12:30 at night. And sorry, I don't like being woke up. They said your dogs are barking. I said, no sir, my dogs are not barking. He said, yes, we sat and listened to it for 5 minutes, your dogs are barking. I said, sir, please, I'm not, my dog's in. I walked outside, I said, you talk about that dog barking right there. He said, yes, the corner of your house. I said, that dog right there, he got belligerent. Like I was calling him a liar, and the cockiness in me did it. I said, that's not my dog, that's the neighbor's dog, and I will show you. I walked around the sort of house. I said, that's his own dog barking. He went over and talked to him. He got in an argument with the deputy. He started screaming, he'd come back over to the deputy. He said, just don't worry about him. He is just right now just upset he's not even going to talk to me. Don't worry about him. That's what I got to deal with every day. This guy rides a lawnmower around until 5 minutes till 10, carrying a beer, music playing. Well, that's the way he has fun. But he yells at my dog's barking and deer in the backyard and eating apples off an apple tree. Even though they have, I don't put this on high. On high meant the dog squalls and legs taken out from underneath him. I'm asking you guys to reconsider some of this. I'm going to contest this last one through an attorney. There was no way my dog was even there in the backyard, and I got in trouble for it. It's going to cost $400. Next one's $300. I can't take this. I moved up to this place. It is a quiet neighborhood. My wife has on her smartphone, and unfortunately Verizon doesn't allow you to send one that big. She came out the front yard, and she turned it on, and she will be here next time. You guys have a meeting if you want to hear it. Turn it on, and you can listen to every dog screaming in the neighborhood. She walks through the house and puts it on our dogs. Our dogs are laying there asleep. And you can still hear the rest of the dogs, and that man does not say a word about it. And he'll sit there and tell you he won't turn in nobody else but me. The reason why, he found out my son spent time in prison. He says, he looked right at me and said, I don't know what your kind in my neighborhood. I said, I didn't do anything. I don't even associate with it. He said, I will do what I have to get rid of you and your dogs. Ever since then, my life has been heck. And these things aren't cheap. I'm asking you guys, I'll come back again next time. I'm not gonna pay that fine until this is resolved. If you guys still think I deserve to, even though my dog's right there, my attorney says I shouldn't have to. This is ridiculous. I gotta put up with this, with everybody in this whole neighborhood owning dogs. Mine are quiet, mine are obedience trained, mine are show dogs. It's just, I'm just asking you guys to reconsider some of this instead of taking the word of one person.
Do you guys, if you allow me to interject, do you guys remember when the hours were that he was playing, or maybe you, Mr. Rogeri, you can, you can remind us, what times was he noting that the
He said it was 24/7, 365 days a year. And at 6:30 in the evening, when the cops show up at my house, he says he has a sleep disorder. I'm sorry, he has a beverage disorder is what he got. And honestly, I've got some of that on video too. He comes home from work, has 3 or 4 beers in his garage, goes back to his truck, goes back to work. And that's what he does in the time he gets home. But, and that's fine, I don't say nothing to him. I've never said anything to him about the lawnmower, his barking. He turns the dog out at 3 o'clock in the morning after the bathroom, and I think he goes back in there and goes to sleep. The dog barks and barks and barks and barks. Dogs bark occasionally. I've taken every precaution in mind, don't bark.
How many citations have you gotten?
This is the 3rd one. And the first 2, like I said, before I bought these, the dog was in the backyard barking at deer eating apples. I'm sorry, dogs bark. They do. But even, like I said, even the neighbors. The one that it's kenneled right next to him, he's an active police officer up in Green Township. He said, I never hear your dogs. He said, if anything, and he this, but the house south of him was a boarding kennel. But he won't say nothing about boarding kennel, all strange dogs. My dogs don't bark, I teach them not to. I'm retired. The last thing I want to do is hear my dogs bark. Unless they got a doggone good reason, my dogs ain't gonna bark. I take every precaution, and yet I'm getting fined for this. I just don't understand how it can happen. I'm just asking you guys, I mean, I can come back in with videos, and I only got 3 minutes. My wife is out of town right now on work. She works for Red Cross, and right now she's in Michigan. She travels 2 weeks every month. She will be here for next one if you guys want to see the video of every dog in the neighborhood barking. You can hear it so plain, I can stand right here and play it. And then you guys can watch it, walk through the house until my dog's sitting there laying on the ground now, standing where Tom's sitting over here drinking in it, having his beverages in his garage, and he's not even paying attention to them. Nothing. But he wants to be out of the neighborhood because of my son.
Eric, any recommendation?
I mean, I'm not asking you guys to do it right now. Consider it till the next time.
Let's have some healthy dialogue. Healthy dialogue here. You're here. Let's make the most of your time.
Well, I know you guys said 3 minutes. I don't want to, you know.
Well, we'll extend it if needed. It's my understanding the deputies, the detectives sitting here, they're not going to issue that citation unless they visually.
No. I asked the deputy.
Audibly hear the dog.
Yes. I asked the deputy, I said, you sure it's my dogs? He said, well, it's coming from the direction of your kennels. That's all he said. My kennel butts up next to the neighbors, and they have 3 dogs. I asked him, I said, I guess I got pictures of my 3 dogs in today hunting, along with Damon Shivers' dogs, and J.J. Luke, his female was in heat, but he just tagged along. So I told him, I said, I got in trouble for barking dogs. He said, what, after you went home? No, I wasn't even there. I got pictures at home, and he doesn't go around there. He said that he pulled in the driveway, and the park was right there. But it's right next to my kennels. And they leave them out all night long. They got a, what are them big dogs? No, it's bigger than Great Dane.
Mastiff.
Mastiff. And they also got a boxer, and they got some kind of a pit bull chow mix or something.
So what you're saying is the dog that was barking in the evening you got the last citation was your next door neighbor?
Yeah. And Tom will tell you, he won't. Just like the one time they came out and it was Tom's dog that was barking. And mine wasn't. I even proved it to the deputy. But I guess when I called down there to get records to come down and show you guys this, they said the attorney has to subpoena the actual record. You just get the common one for what it was. So my attorney's going to subpoena all 5 of these. You're actually going to see about Tom with the cease and desist. This is crazy. I don't know what this will do, but to appeal to you guys, he said that 2 years and 4 months, his daughter used to come over and help me with the puppies. She'd take them occupied in the yard. The first litter of 9 puppies, well, I cleaned out all the kennels and disinfected them. And like I said, if any of you want to come up to see poisonous snakes, come on to the house. If you find a poisonous snake, it must be someplace in the backyard running loose. I have no idea. I have grandkids. I'd never do something like that. That's stupid. I do have a couple of ball pythons about this big. I used to take to schools, science classes. Anybody fears snakes, come on over. I can teach you how to hold them. But it's the same ball pythons you can buy at PetSmart, Pet Supplies Plus. Tom's daughter's been down there. She's seen them. He knows what they are.
What kind of dogs are they?
Blue tick, coon dogs. And I got registrations here, I mean, you can call UKC, I've never in my life owned 5 or 6, I can't hunt 5 or 6. You can call UKC up, and right here's a copy of the registration, and you can ask them, make sure that's a 3 dogs registered in my name. That's what I got.
Well, there's always two sides to every story.
Yeah, I understand that, that's why, and I didn't even know about it, because my dogs don't go crazy, I don't want to listen to them. I sleep in my bedroom windows open too.
Can we look into this any further?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, remember what I said earlier? Whenever you guys put these legislations in place, I said to you when we passed this. Now, I'm telling you, as sure as I'm sitting here, other side of the story is going to present, and it's here.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, our deputies, I'm 110% behind these guys.
Oh, I am too, don't get me wrong, please, don't get me wrong, they get tired of
They're
it.
supposed to visually see the dog barking
Right.
and not say it's coming from that direction. So I want to have you talk to the deputy and get his side of the story.
Okay. I'm telling you, I got the card when you left.
If he's truly taken the steps to keep
Carter?
his
No,
dogs
it's not
from being incessant
No, that's not
barkers,
him.
this shouldn't be a
Carter?
problem. He
Carter?
shouldn't be
That's it,
getting
Carter.
sent.
No.
I got Carter's card.
And can we,
Let me ask you though, let's use this reverse. I thought you, and I'm not gonna put you in spot, but somebody gave me permission, that if we had a constant barking dog and they videoed the dog barking when the deputy came, I thought we were allowed to use that as leverage. So in reverse, if he hears dogs barking, and he videos his dogs, let's say right now it's 10 till 7, he's videoing those dogs barking, deputy shows up at 7 o'clock, now you have proof that it's not his dog barking. I'm just saying, we're using the reverse.
Well, I always like to
Before I
have the
told
best
residents-
evidence if we're going to go to court, and that's the deputy himself.
So,
As opposed to-
I know that our deputies, they go out and they hear the dogs barking. I don't think, and I'm not gonna say that you're.
They're not supposed to just
No,
They're not
please,
supposed to
you don't know me from
visualize.
Adam.
Yeah.
See where the dog
I think it's just,
Yeah.
maybe now that this has been brought up, that our deputies, that they are paying close attention to those dogs barking, but absolutely we know 100% it's his. Or
Whose dog it is.
but like Eric said,
Or he were to video his dogs at this time, another dog barking and shows it.
Yeah, my dog was barking during the video, but you can hear, I mean, it sounds like a roar.
like Eric said,
Yeah.
if an individual has gone to the excessive measures to prevent his dogs from barking like he has, he shouldn't be fined because he's trying to correct the issue. The issue of being fined are for those that aren't willing to
Right.
correct the issue.
That's right, and it puts me at the same level that people that don't really care.
Can we withdraw this?
You're what?
You have to do that.
Well,
The third citation?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that until you at least
Talk to
talk to the deputy.
yeah, we don't know.
You know, I mean, I think you need
Absolutely.
to
You
start
know,
there.
I mean, honestly, I feel sorry for some residents who do have barking dogs, and by the time the deputy gets there, they're not barking anymore. It's like the timing never works right. So we just have to be careful of this, let's.
Please, you don't know me from Adam.
Right.
That's why I said I'd even bring back more evidence next time, if you just want to suspend this, until then,
You're not our
I mean,
first barking dog. I've had a lot of residents call regarding barking dogs, and they're tough, because the poor deputy, when he finally gets there, the dogs aren't barking. So the deputy leaves, all of a sudden, wow, they go at it again, and it drives people crazy. Some people just
my
can't.
dog ain't gonna go at it very long.
All right. Why don't we do this? So if anybody else in the audience wants to address anything tonight, what we'll do is we will talk to the deputy that wrote the citation, get that side of the story also, and then we can get with Eric to make a determination, see what the board can do.
Like I said, if you guys, I can bring it, my wife will be home from work, next time, she's not gonna fly out anyplace. Be more than happy to show you a video of even what goes on, everybody in that neighborhood, I got the overview and tell you how many dogs each one of the neighbors have, and I got signatures from 5 to 6 of these.
I mean, for the sake of speed and resolution and respect to your time, I mean, if we can get the detectives'
Yeah.
side of it,
Yeah.
and if
Absolutely.
whether it's Lisa or Eric says, hey, can we see that video? Let's just do that so we don't have to,
That's
actually
fine.
waste one of your evenings where you still have nice
And we'll
weather or
get it
something.
done quick.
Okay, I appreciate it very much for listening to me, I really do.
Well, that's what we're here for.
I'll do whatever I have to. I just, one they're a bucket a year helps me pay for all the shows. I travel all over the United States to show, and that's about all I do.
Okay.
So, okay?
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you very much.
Do us a favor, after the meeting is over, give your phone number to Lisa or to Eric so we can get back in touch with you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything they want to address the board for? Or with? Okay, that will close public speaks.
All these people, I thought maybe somebody shot a call.
Mr. Evans looks like he's just chomping at the bit.
He usually said, he's nonstop, he's quiet.
Let's go to the concerns of trustees, Mr. Hawes.
Guys, just as a reminder, we've got our, we're picking back up from summer break for the Stark County Township Association. So Thursday, September 19th, we do have Jackson Township hosting us out at their safety center for our September Stark County Township Association meeting. It's being sponsored by Wenger Excavating and North Star Asphalt, but they're going to have in the state auditor, Dave Yost, to speak. So just want to remind everybody of that to RSVP.
I think I got that email. Yeah, I got that email. Okay. All right, we need to go to the approval of minutes for August 13th, 2013, and I will so move.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Okay, there is a need for executive session, be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to return to executive session at 7:57 p.m. from this regular...
6:57.
6:57, I apologize, I've got a wrong angle there. This regular meeting of August 27, 2013 is authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose and consideration of 1B, 1C, 1D, 1F, and 4.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.